Okay, so today we're going to show you how to use Perfect Squares. Perfect Squares is a tool that was actually invented by the same gentleman who invented Perfect Layers. And Perfect Layers works on a patented system where there's a little catch lip on there. And the Perfect Squares actually has that same little catch lip that you've got here. We're going to show you how to use it. There's 5 different things you can do with this. You may think of some more, but I'm going to show you 5. I'm going to start off with being able to crop a picture. So let's just say you want a perfect little crop on your picture. Instead of pulling out one of these great big machines that you can get here, just grab your Perfect Square and it really will work quite good. So it's completely see-through. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the catch lip that's down here. You just need a sharp knife and a cutting mat, and all you're going to do is just take it and you're just going to hook that little catch lip onto the bottom of the picture. And then what you can do is like slide this along and you'll always get a perfect right angle. So it just hooks on there and it's see-through. So I'm going to actually say I'm going to crop it right there. So all I'm going to do is just take my sharp knife and then run it down the side and I get this perfect little crop. Now I have this 90-degree angle and I was able to get a nice crop on my picture and I can see through it. So if I wanted to crop it some more, all I'll do is just flip this around. Again, I hook it onto the edge here and then slide it around and figure out where I might want to crop it. So let's see, I'm going to actually crop it a little shorter on the top too. So it's just a little bit easier to do some quick crops as opposed to using a lot of those big machines. Manually, you can see where you want to crop it. You just hold on to it and then just give it a cut and then you get yourself a nice little crop picture. And this one is another way to use Perfect Square. So what happens if you've got some great leftover paper and you want to be able to use up that leftover paper? You do a rubber stamp. Here I just did one and I put it on a nice piece of textured paper. But now I want a nice perfect square on that piece of paper. Now I could try and get again one of those great big machines out where I'm trying to corner this around and figure out how to, but that's just a lot of work. It's much easier just to use a perfect square. Now all you need to get a perfect square is one straight angle. That's it. You just need one. And all I'm going to do is just hook that on. Again, remember it has that little hook system. If you can see that, that's actually going to hook right onto the edge of the paper. Now I can figure out exactly how big I want to do it. Now remember, if you take a look down here, there are measurements on the bottom. So if you're looking for a specific size, I'm just going to eyeball this at the moment and just run this along there. Now I just take this and I go to the next straight edge. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to go there and cut that. And then again, the next straight edge. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm just building a perfect square, and all I needed was one straight edge to start with, and you get yourself a square. All right, so what I'm going to do now is use my perfect squares to be able to fold a perfect 90-degree angle on a card. So if you've got some cardstock and you want to get a perfect 90-degree angle, all I'm going to do is, remember there's this measuring tool along the bottom here. This is an 11-inch piece of paper, so I'm going to take this measuring tool and I'm just going to slide this along until I've got 5.5 inches there. And I'm using the lip. I'm bumping the lip. Remember that little lip that's on the bottom? I'm using that lip, the same catch system that we've got on the Perfect Layers. And all I'm doing is I'm bumping against the bottom. So now I have exactly 5.5 inches. And I'm going to use, you could use just anything you want. I've just got a crease folder. And I'm just going to run this down. Now you can do that a couple times. You can use whatever implement you want. What it does is it creates a crease. So now I have a perfect fold. Now, if I got a little over exuberant and I didn't quite fold it right, and let's just say I'm going to really sort of gum this up. I'm going to actually purposely make it off angle. You ever have a bad card day where you creased it right, like what we did with our perfect squares, but when you folded it over, you didn't quite line it up the way you should have. So what you can do is you can use the perfect squares to fix that. And that is the 4th thing that you can do with the perfect layers, or perfect squares, sorry. So again, this catch lip, what we're going to want to do is find one straight angle. So I'm going to use the top of the card as a straight angle. So now I'm just going to use this to be able to straighten out my card. So there's one faux pas edge that I had. And I'm going to actually do So what I did this side and I straightened it. So now I'm going to use my flat edge that I created here to straighten the card along the bottom. And there's holes inside here, so the holes allow you to hold the project and hold the perfect square at the same time. Again, just use a nice sharp knife, and all we're going to do is just straighten that out. Did I get that all the way? Yes, I did. Look at that. So now I've got another straight edge, and just so I can finish up that last little bit, again, hook the perfect square onto the bottom, and all I'm going to do is just hold that and the perfect square at the same time. And voila, I fixed my misaligned card in a couple seconds. And you can use this if you want to cut down a card. Say, you know what, that's just too big of a card. I'm going to make the card a little bit smaller. So I'm going to crop down my card. And again, you always get this perfect 90-degree angle. Excellent for card making. So that is number 4. Last but not least, and always kind of fun, is the little circles. They're actually great little die cuts if you need for a circle. You know, you want to put something somewhere, you can use this as a template to trace if you want, or sometimes you want rounded edges. So I find just being able to use the square to mark them off is a great way to be able to then go and cut your edges. I just did that in pencil, but I think you get the basics. So use it for cropping your photos. Okay, you can use it for squaring off just about any cardstock. You can use it for creating creases, perfect 90-degree angles on your cards, for correcting any off angles on your cards. And last but not least, these are great little circle templates. 5 things, 5, using the perfect squares.